Welcome, people, and thank you for tuning in. This is the Sports Underground Podcast with Baron Graft.
The revolution will not be televised, not be televised.
And look who's coming up.
Do you know how I get up to my game? Do you know?
I have wrestled with an alligator. I done tussled with a whale. I done handcuffed lightning, throw thunder in jail.
Just win, baby.
That's the winner!
And now, from Hotbox Studios in Burbank, California, which is literally an 8x10 box in Baron's garage, your host, Baron Graft.
Hey! What is happening, folks? It's the Sports Underground. I'm your host, Baron Graft. Episode number 53 of the Sports Underground, the Don Drysdale episode of the Sports Underground. The legendary Dodgers pitcher, Don Drysdale, product of Van Nuys High School here, not far from my house, not far from Hotbox Studios, Van Nuys High. Won the Cy Young Award in 1962. Made it to the All-Star team 9 times. 9 times! 9 times. 3-time World Series champion, member of the National Baseball Hall of Fame, Don Drysdale. Episode number 53. They don't make a Hall of Fame for dads, but if they did, mine would be in it. My dad in the studio tonight, not going to participate, just here to listen. Thanks for being here, Pop. Glad you're on board. Oh my gosh, so much to get into tonight. I got baseball to talk about. I got the NFL. Some crazy stuff happened in the NFL this week. College football to get to. The NHL and the NBA are at the back of the show if we can squeeze them in. But just to kick off, Major League Baseball, the St. Louis Cardinals clinched the National League Championship on Sunday night. Watched the game with my dad. It was a great game. I kind of felt bad for the Brewers. I mean, that's a great team. They field a great team there in Milwaukee, and they fought hard all year long. And I picked them. I really I had no faith in the Cardinals to get it done. It's one of those things where it's like there's things that in life that you're okay with being wrong about. It's like I thought I blew the engine in my car. It turned out that was just the radiator. Good thing to be right about, I had this pain in my neck. I thought my thyroid was blown out. No, just turns out I pulled a muscle there. Whew! Good thing I was wrong about that. It's one of those things. It's just okay to be wrong. I thought my baseball team wasn't getting past the Brewers. They did. Good thing to be wrong about. So, looks like the World Series is going to start on Wednesday. Cardinals versus the Rangers, because that's a matchup that the networks love for ratings. Yeah. Woo! Everybody on the East Coast is asleep and nobody on the West Coast cares. Yeah! Go get football. Woohoo! I'll tell you what, if Major League Baseball and the schedule makers at Fox were smart, they would make as many of these weekday night games as possible. Avoid Mondays, Saturdays, and Sundays like the plague. Play any other night but those, because that's you're losing. That's a World Series that in the ratings game, that's a loser. That is a loser. St. Louis cares. St. Louis, everybody's going to watch in St. Louis, but Texas, honestly, you're splitting your market with football. Hate to tell you that. But even when Dallas is bad, more people are watching the Cowboys. And honestly, outside of the region, I don't think very many people care about the Rangers and the Cardinals. I'm just telling you like it is. I'm just telling you like. Now, I think it's going to be a wildly exciting World Series. I think this year more than any other year, there's absolutely no telling what's going to happen in the playoffs. That Ranger lineup looks really tough. And they've got some interesting pitchers. I did not see them as a better team than the Detroit Tigers. They proved me wrong, because I know they woke up and they said, "Okay, guys, today what we're doing is we all listen to that Sports Underground guy, Baron Gratt. Time to go prove him wrong." What they did, though, is they demonstrated that they were clearly a better baseball team than Detroit. Clearly they belong in the World Series, and that is a tough road to hoe. And when you look at the work that the Cardinal bullpen got in the series against the Brewers, Tony La Russa made 28 pitching changes in the NLCS. Set the record for most pitching changes in a championship series. That's unreal. Now, if you follow the Cardinals, you just know, all right, that's like a Tuesday day game, because that's just what La Russa does. He changes pitchers. He changes pitchers if the clouds, block the sun. Time to bring in a new pitcher. But it worked. To his credit, masterful the way he worked that bullpen. So they've got a different challenge with the Rangers. I'm going to give you a couple of players that I think can be a difference. Again, Wednesday we've got Chris Carpenter for the Cardinals, C.J. Wilson going for the Rangers. And I'm going to give you a couple of players that I think are difference makers. I mean, obviously you've got your Nelson Cruzes of the world. My God, that guy is knocking the cover off the ball. Just on an absolute tear, Nelson Cruz for the Rangers. You've got your Ian Kinslers. You've got your Josh Hamiltons for Texas. You've got your Albert Pujols. You've got your Matt Holliday. You've got your Lance Berkman. You've got all these guys that are obviously key to their team winning. I'm going to give you a couple of guys that I think are kind of under the radar. Maybe if you follow these teams, you know who these guys are. But I'm going to give you a couple of pitchers and a couple of position players. For St. Louis, I think the pitcher that's really going to be the difference in this series is Fernando Salas. Salas is a young kid. He's pitched a lot out of the bullpen this year. And I have a feeling that the starters are not going to be able to go the distance for St. Louis. I got a feeling you're going to start seeing some long relief appearances by Cardinal pitchers. And if they can come in and shut the door, that goes a long ways towards helping them win. And Fernando Salas is one of those guys. He can come in and shut the door. So that'll be interesting to watch. For Texas, they've got that guy Alexi Agondo in a very similar role to Salas. He's kind of that middle inning guy. He's not your setup guy. He's not your closer. He's kind of that middle inning turnkey piece that can go in there and can shut guys down. So those are the two pitchers I'm watching. Position players, I really think Mike Napoli for the Rangers is a key to this series. He bats a little bit lower in the lineup, but especially in the National League where they're going to have their pitchers hit, those guys in the lower half of that Rangers lineup are going to be super important because it's going to be on them to keep cycling the lineup back over to their top players at the lead off of the lineup to get those power bats back up there. And similarly, but a little bit different, for St. Louis, I think Rafael Furcal is really the guy. I mean, between his defense at shortstop, which has been stellar, and his leadoff, he's really got to set the table. He's really got to get out there and set the table, I think, if the Cardinals are going to have success. So those are my two guys, position players. I think it should be a great World Series. I'm not going to break tradition. I'm not going to suddenly join my team's bandwagon. I'm more superstitious than that. I actually believe, this is how crazy I am. I actually believe that picking against my team, because I said they weren't going to make the postseason. Then I said they were going to lose to the Phillies. Then I said they were going to lose to the Brewers. If I pick them to win the World Series now and they lose, it's my fault. And if I pick them to lose and they win and they do lose, then I was just right. So I'm gonna say, and I honestly believe this. I think it's the Rangers in 7. I really do. I think their lineup is formidable. Their bullpen and their arms seem to be coming together at the right time, and I just get the feeling that the train's just gonna run a little bit short for St. Louis on this one. I hate to say that because that's my team, but that's how I see it. Moving over to the NFL. Good gracious. Just got a few minutes here to get everything in the NFL. A couple of games of the week that we gave you. We gave you Dallas versus New England as the game of the week, and I don't think that one disappointed. But another game I told you to keep your eye on was the 49ers versus the Lions. And wow, did that game not disappoint. Just back and forth the whole way. Let me tell you something. That 49er team, you don't have to drink the Kool-Aid today, but trust me, a couple of weeks from now, it's going to be shut the front door because those guys are legit. And I had a suspicion they were a good team, but watching what they did to the Lions, I mean, that was a tough place to play in. They took a ton of penalties, just the same way as everybody else who's gone into Ford Field to play this year. They've taken a lot of those false start penalties. They fought through them, though. And they came out of there with a win. Now, the strange thing that happened, I don't know if you saw this, but you should be able to check it out on YouTube, is the head coaches after the game, Jim Harbaugh and Jim Schwartz. Harbaugh for the Niners came over to do the standard coach handshake. Hey, thanks, great game. Go, good luck, that whole thing. And I guess Harbaugh was a little bit fired up because he went over and just kind of roughly shook Schwartz's hand and then kind of pat him on the back, and it rubbed Schwartz the wrong way. Schwartz runs to catch up with Harbaugh and say something like, hey, you're not on the Christmas card list anymore, or something like that. I'm sure there was no profanity exchanged, but the players got involved. It was very heated, looked like there could be an on-field fight there for a few minutes. And, I just, as much as I'd like to say, yeah, come on, Jim Harbaugh, you got to show some sportsmanship. And yeah, I'd love to take that road, and certainly there is some discussion to be had about that. But listen, this guy's a rookie head coach. This is the biggest win. I would have to think this is one of the biggest wins of his coaching career. Maybe when his Stanford team went to USC and knocked off the Trojans in the Coliseum, despite being heavy underdogs, maybe that's an on-par win. But this is the big leagues, and that's a big-time win. That does a lot to push his team forward. And so I understand being fired up. I mean, I get what the guy's saying, hey, that's, that doesn't fall within the code of conduct or this unwritten code of conduct of how people are supposed to behave. I get that. I'm just saying, there's probably a better way to handle that if you're Jim Schwartz. Probably running up and confronting the guy after an emotional game, after a very physical game. Probably not the right thing to do. Just saying, it's going to be interesting to see how the Lions bounce back now that they've actually lost a game. The bounce back is going to be interesting. Dallas and New England didn't disappoint. I felt, a minute and a half is just too much time to give Tom Brady. Of course, he's going to march down the field and score. Here's the thing. The Cowboys left points on the board. They kicked a field goal at the end of that game. And I'm sorry, but the play before that little shovel pass to Shard Choice, maybe if you've got your number one receiver or number one running back in there, maybe that's the right call. But that shovel pass, that's weak sauce. If you're Jason Garrett, you got to learn to go for the jugular. And you're playing the Patriots on the road, you got to go for the jugular. You got to score a touchdown. You got to put pressure on Brady and the Patriots to get downfield and score. You got to give Rex Ryan and that defense something else to work with. So that's how I saw that. Atlanta dumped Carolina. Cam Newton alert, still only has one win. The Packers beat St. Louis. They remain undefeated. St. Louis remains winless. Indianapolis remains winless. Miami remains winless. And Miami versus the Jets is the Monday Night Football game. I think this is going to be a stinker. I see the Jets just running all over Miami, which is good for them. They got to get on track because San Diego's coming into town next week off of a bye. So the Jets need to get on track in a big way. The other note, the Raiders knocked off Cleveland, but they lost Jason Campbell. So I think they're trying to get Carson Palmer. Got to make that trade. So, but Player of the Week honors go to Tampa Bay quarterback Josh Freeman threw 2 touchdowns, 23 of 41 with no interceptions. Tampa Bay knocked off New Orleans to take a share of that NFC South. So they're not out of it, folks. This is a young team. They can still surprise. Sports Underground can still be right about these guys. So that's the NFL.